specific substrate utilization. And what I mean by that is that people will often hypothesize that exercising at certain intensities will increase fat oxidation more than exercising at other intensities. And this is something that actually features in most popular commercial gyms, where you'll typically see a heart rate chart and you'll see that, this is the fat burning zone, this is the fitness zone, et cetera, et cetera. The reality is that we're not too interested in the specific substrate that's being utilized within the session, whether it's carbohydrates or whether it's fats, because ultimately what happens is over the course of the day, if you've burnt a ton of energy, and even if it was all from carbohydrates during a workout, you might then oxidize more fat throughout the day because you don't have as many carbohydrates available because you've burnt them. So the body finds a way to produce energy from substrates regardless. And that's why overall, we're most concerned with the energy expenditure that emerges from that fat loss. Then there's just one final thing. The final rationale would be one that I don't think most people have, but it's true. And that is that being more active can improve appetite regulation, and other factors as well. So it can improve appetite regulation. Generally, not if you do far too much, but up to a certain point, you might feel your appetite is better controlled. Some people don't find that. And then there's also the case that if you're fitter, and this obviously is more relevant for people who have a low baseline level of aerobic fitness, if you're fitter, you're generally going to be a bit more energized throughout the rest of your day because things don't fatigue you as much. You're more efficient at producing energy, at doing so with low fatigue. So that is something that can potentially contribute to a more fat loss conducive lifestyle, let's say, as well. So there's some of the rationale that immediately come to mind.
Yeah, and this is, again, it is more than just the calorie expenditure stuff. Like, obviously that's the main thing that's going on, right? Because, people are like, right, you want to lose some fat, we need to be in a calorie deficit. How do you get in a calorie deficit? Oh, well, you have two variables to manipulate. You have how much you move, how much you exercise, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously you have how much food you put in your mouth, right? So obviously cardio has a role to play in manipulating how much you move. And it's also probably the most effective tool we have in regulating how much you move. And that's purely by virtue of the fact that you can do a lot of it, right? So it's like, you can literally, sit there, you can sit there on a bike or whatever and do 8 hours, 10 hours of exercise, right? And it's relatively low fatigue exercise, right? And I think it was in the last podcast you said it, like, you can't do that with, leg training session. You can't just do a 4-hour leg workout, right? It's just not going to end well for you, right? So that is one of the things where it's like, okay, we have a tool here that is actually fantastic for manipulating this calories in, calories out equation. However, again, we need to be thinking about what are we actually trying to do when we're trying to get fat loss or when we're trying to go on a fat loss diet. Generally speaking, we're trying to create a certain look. Now, obviously, there are other reasons for fat loss, like potentially your doctor has told you need to lose some weight for X, Y, and Z health condition, right? So there are obviously other reasons. Potentially also, you were looking to lose some fat over, I know, the lockdowns and stuff, because you heard about, like, the link between COVID and, body fatness and different things like that. So, there's obviously potentially a variety of reasons for looking to get fat loss, right? There are also a variety of reasons as to why you would want to do cardiovascular training outside of just fat loss. Like, you want to be fitter, you want to actually have good cardiovascular conditioning, you want to have good cardiovascular health, right? Those kind of things. It's like there are multiple things going on here that you need to be aware of, and that also then go on to inform your decision, right? So cardio is a very valuable tool for a number of reasons. However, that's not really helpful, right? Because you can know that this is a great tool. You can know that resistance training is a great tool, right? You can know that a hammer is a great tool. If you don't know how to use it, or you don't know what to actually do with this tool, it's kind of useless, right? So let's get into some of the more practical aspects of, cardiovascular conditioning or training in relation to fat loss. And then hopefully we can kind of come to some sort of recommendations towards the end of this, so that we can, again, put this into your actual lifestyle context, etc. Right? It's not just a case of, oh, well, here, just do this cardio. Cardio is good. And that doesn't tell you the whole story, right?